our system is teaching us that we hate each other, that the other side is evil. I read one of the most amazing blog remarks from somebody I've ever seen. It was on this blog Media Bistro. And they're talking about, mainly they talk about Keith Olbermann and how he's going to rise and be fantastic someday. And what'd you say, Stu? Yeah, TV Newser, Media Bistro, TV Newser. No. The comment section. Have you ever seen the comment sections? Yeah, okay. So the comment section, they're mainly talking about, how Keith Olbermann is, he's hung the moon. This is a journalist's or a TV person's news site. This is where all the people in New York, this is where they gather to share different intellectual ideas. And they were talking about, and my ratings came up. And again, it was, I can hear the marching of the boots because of these fascists like Beck, blah, 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 blah. And somebody actually wrote a comment that said, these people are frightening and they've got to be stopped. Isn't there some way where we can just get rid of these people? Excuse me? I'm the fascist? Isn't there? Well, yes, there are. There's gas chambers. They've been handy before. There's firing squads. Ooh. There's the Soviet gulag. But yes, there are ways to dispose of people that disagree with you. Usually not under the American system, but it has been done before. It's funny. It was done before. Let's see. Under Reagan? No. Oh, I remember under Woodrow Wilson, a progressive. Under FDR, a progressive. I've been reading about the turn of the century, and I've been reading from 1910, and I've avoided 1900 to 1910, only because I used to like Theodore Roosevelt, and I have a feeling I'm going to end up hating him. I've been reading about 1910 to 1940, and I'm right now reading this great book called 1920. And talks about all the different people, Hoover and FDR and everything else. They're all progressives, all of them. They're all progressives. The Republicans, the Democrats, all of them. Hoover, the guy, who caused the Great Depression, he was a progressive. They didn't think he'd get elected because they didn't think the Republicans would elect him because he was such a progressive. And I noticed that there had been times where people had been jailed for speaking out against the president, the policies, or the war, or in FDR's case, jailed because you refused to put the Blue Eagle in your store. Jailed because you wouldn't charge a certain price for your, in one case, for your tires that you made. You wanted to charge the people who came into your tire store less because it didn't cost you as much to make the tire as it did B.F. Goodrich. That person went to jail because of it. Their business destroyed. If you didn't hang the Blue Eagle, which meant price controls, which was FDR's system of we're going to pay people a certain wage, we're going to charge a certain amount of money. If you didn't put that in your store, if you didn't abide by it, the guy who is running this program actually said, and this is a quote, if somebody doesn't play by the rules, I'm going to sock him in the nose. Well, a lot of people would have rather had a sock in the nose. Instead, they went to jail. You know what I figured out yesterday? I was on the elevator, and I'm thinking about all of this stuff, and I'm thinking, you know what's amazing? These progressives have put people in jail before. They've done it over and over again. Whenever they have power, it starts to go towards fascism, and they put people in jail. But yet fascism is always tied to the Red Scare and the McCarthy era. The only time there were ever trials in America, the only time that people were ever called in and then their lives were destroyed, that people really know in this country, the McCarthy hearings. Now, why is that? Have you ever been to a communist meeting? Are you now, or have you ever been a communist member? Communist meetings. Were those also progressive meetings? Could you be somebody who went to a communist meeting but then became a progressive? It was in the same direction as the progressives, just not as far. It was Hollywood, the home of progressives. The only thing you know, because the media, the government, and Hollywood were at the receiving end of the punishment this time. The only reason why you know about the Red Menace and Joe McCarthy, and shame on you, Senator, the only reason why we know that is because the people who control our history and all of the images and all of the news and everything else were progressives. They don't teach about the 150,000 political prisoners jailed during the Wilson administration. They don't talk about the goon squads that Woodrow Wilson had that went to your town as literal goon squads. If you were speaking out about the League of Nations, why does the League of Nations, that failed. Why is the League of No? Oh, I know, because it was the predecessor of the United Nations, a progressive movement. Is anybody tying any of this together? Is it just me? Am I the crazy one? Or am I just the guy who honestly, I feel like the guy in every Alfred Hitchcock movie. I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to believe. I never believed any of this stuff was happening. Woodrow Wilson was jailing people. FDR put people in jail for not selling tires at a certain amount of money. What? There were more Blue Eagles. I'm a fan of World War II and the greatest American generation. I'm a fan. I always thought the Blue Eagle was a nice thing. I start actually reading about history. I start reading the newspaper reports at the time. Everybody was for it. Everyone was for it until it started going ugly. Why would it go ugly? Because power corrupts absolutely. And as the power of the government grew stronger and stronger, people started saying, wait. This time we're screwing around with a global government. This time we're screwing around with global catastrophe. This time we're screwing around with a government and a globe that can control and see into our lives every step of the way. We've got technology that Hitler or Mussolini would dream of. Can't happen in America. It's happened before.